Hello my friends. Right, today I'm going to show you my little plants. Little, not little. Right, which one first? This one I think. Now don't ask me to pronounce the name, but it's something like Diffenbeckia. So I bought this from Lidl about 2 weeks ago, and the usual problem with plants that you buy from anywhere is the problem that you cannot avoid, and that is fungus gnats. So I want to show you a way that it won't eliminate them altogether from your life, because that's just plant life, but it will show you how to lessen the amount of them, and it really does work. It's simple and it does work, so I'm going to show you today. First of all, I want to show you what I did with this plant when I bought it, because it sort of splits itself into different plants. And you see there, that is one plant, and that one there is one plant. It had another plant on it which I divided, and I've put that in leca, which is semi-hydroponics, which is, let me show you now, which is basically, it's balls. It's clay balls. Now, it works with a capillary action, so you have a reservoir in the bottom, which is there, with a wick. You see the wick? So the wick will take up the nutrient solution, water, whatever, however you're growing the plant, and it will wick it up and touch the clay balls. Can you hear my dogs? They're really pissing me off. And I don't know what the hell they're barking at, because they can't see anything. They just... Anyway. So it wicks it up, wicks the water up, touches the clay balls, and provides it with the water that it needs. And with that plant, I divided this little one and decided to put it into leca, just to try it, because I didn't want to kill the whole plant if it didn't like leca. So I thought I could just kill that little one and I won't feel so bad, because I did it with a bird of paradise plant. It was quite a big one, and basically I used a method which some people call the long method, because it takes a long time. I use the long method, which is basically removing the plant from the soil, washing it off, and putting it into leca after a couple of weeks of being in water. So the roots basically get used to being in water rather than moving straight into leca. So with this method, this is the way that I found I kill them. So I will not be using that again for that reason. The only other way that you can use that method is if you take a cutting and root the cutting in water, and the cutting and the roots will grow in water, and that's great. So you can do that because the roots have only ever known water, so it won't be bothered. If it's come from soil, it's used to soil roots, and it can rot off and put directly into water. So anyway, that's a bit about leca. So that's the one that I've already done, a division. So I'm going to show you with this plant that I bought the other day, which is one of those. Anyway, you can see this has divided itself. So you've got one plant there and one, can't really see it very well here. So see that big plant there at the back? That's one plant. You turn it around and is another one there. So, how do we divide it? Good question. So, basically, we remove the plant from the pot. Oh yeah, look at that, and these removing. Show you that. Starting to come out the bottom. It's moving out. So it's divided itself. Sorry, that's a parrot. You can understand how when I use the long method for the other one, when you've got big chunky roots like that, how they can rot when they're in water. So I think that's just what happened when I did it. So what I might actually do is cut some of them chunky roots off. It's massive. But the problem is if we put it in a bigger pot, what happens is the roots inside the pot reach out to touch something. So if you've got a small plant in a pot, say my finger is a plant, just my finger, see all that space around it, those roots will be looking to touch something. So the roots are going to be growing round and round, looking to find something to touch, and then it'll find the side of the pot and it'll be happy, and it will then create the top growth. So we don't want the plant to be in a massive pot, because it will just concentrate on the roots. You won't get any top growth, so you'll think, oh my god, this plant, I don't know what's the matter with it, I don't know why it won't grow. Oh god, I may as well just chuck it in the bin because it's not doing anything. But sometimes it doesn't need to be in a big pot. It really doesn't need to be in a big pot. So that is a myth. Okay, if you put one in a big pot, it will not grow. It won't grow. Just remember one thing, they always grow back. And the main thing that kills plants is us. Basically, overwatering is like the main cause of plant deaths. It's us. It's not in the right place, it's not getting enough water, it's not getting enough light, it's getting too much light. There's a lot of reasons. So yeah, what was it? It was a small one. I'm going to rinse this off now with the water, obviously, and then show you what we're left with. So the reason of the video, although I got sidetracked talking about leca and semi-hydro and all the rest, I do get a bit carried away, so apologies. So the purpose of it was for fungus gnat prevention. So excuse the noise, it's Poppy, my parrot. She just never shuts up. So this is the plant which I took out of soil and just shook it off, and it's going to go back into soil because I've divided the plant that I want. Now sometimes when you buy plants, what they do in the nursery is they put a few in one pot, smaller plants and usually a big one, and it makes it look like a bigger plant, but in reality it's not, it's several small ones, so you could be waiting a long time for those plants to grow. So you can always divide plants in that way. Depends where you get them from. If you get them from a private seller, they're usually nice big ones anyway, but you pay for it, don't you? So you can always divide plants that way because they're already divided, because that's just how they've been grown. Some plants you can't divide yet, or you may have to cut them with a knife, just slice it. I need to water this now. Because the soil's quite dry, I expect a lot of air pockets in there because the roots are so chunky. The soil will sink down all around those roots. I'm going to do it with tap water just because the sink's here and it's easier. But for all the rest of my plants, it will always be rainwater that I use because I'm lucky enough to have access to rainwater. I've got barrels in the garden, so that's why. And it's better for your plants anyway, because some plants don't like the lime in the water, lime scales. That's what it looks like now. Right, so I've watered it, ran it under the tap. Can you see that indentation there? It's dripping everywhere here. See that indentation? Just here. That's where the soil level's dropped because the roots are obviously not touched by the soil enough. So it's just run down and run around the roots and then just gone down. So I need to put a bit more soil on that, which I will do later. Okay, so I've been outside and just put a bit more soil to fill in those gaps. I'm making a hell of a mess on the floor here. And it really is the simplest of things, but it does work. And this is what it is. It's called potting grit. I got it off Amazon. I think it was 20 kilos and it was about 12 quid. So that's what it is, potting grit. I gave it a bit of a wash in the water, but outside because it's very dirty. And this is what we do with the grit. You just put it round the top and cover all around the edges, because the fungus gnats live on the surface, just under the surface of the soil. The next step is when you water your plant, water it from the bottom. So put it in you could use a tray like this one and soak all your plants at the same time. You just add about that much water, leave them in there for an hour, and then they'll suck up what they want and they'll be fine. If you're unsure whether your plant needs to be watered, this is the tool for you. It's a moisture meter. Now I've just watered this, so I expect it to say that it's wet. So I'm just going to push it down, push it right down. The reason this is saying that it's dry is because it was really, really dry to start with. But you can see the water's coming through, she says. So this needs a bit of a soak because it's not holding on to the moisture. The next thing you will need, I haven't actually got any, but I have some that I'm using. And you can see that they work because of the fungus gnats that's on it. Basically, it's a sticky, what do you call it? Sticky fly trap. And basically, the flies are drawn to the yellow, and you think, oh my God, that looks amazing. So off they go, fly onto it, and that's how you deal with the adults. So the grit stops them being able to breed on the surface of the soil, and these will mop up the adults, and the bottom watering will stop those flies from breeding in the bottom of the pot. Another tip is make sure you wash your outer pots as well. So like the outside pot that it's inside, because they can breed in there. And you'll think, I've done everything she said. I've done what she said. I've put the grit on and I've put the trap in, and I'm still getting them. Check the outer pot, inside the outer pot, and trust me, give it a month and they'll be gone. Now imagine how filthy my hands would be if I didn't have gloves on, which is part of the reason why I want to get rid of soil altogether, but obviously it's not going to be possible just yet. But I'm surprised at how my snake plants have done. Very surprised. Pleasantly surprised, because they're having pups. Right, so just wanted to show you my dragon plant in leca. So I bought this plant. It was only small, it was cheap, and I thought I'm going to try this plant in leca. I did use the long method for this, but if it had a trunk, I wouldn't use that method because it'd rot. But as this is a small plant, I thought I'd give it a go, try it, and it's worked. And you see the root that's grown down into the reservoir. So that is possible for a dragon plant to live in leca. I've also done it with my yucca, same thing, but you know, the trunky plant, yeah? So it works, it can work, but with my yucca, I rooted it, I cut it myself, cut it off my big plant, and rooted that in water, so it doesn't know any different, so that'll be all right. This has proved a success, so I will be able to have a dragon plant in leca, not soil. But just do your best. Rinse off as much as you can. That's just an old leaf. What do you reckon the chances are? Anyway, I'm going to pop this into leca. I'm going to just nobble that root off a bit because it's just showing off. Just a kitchen knife. I'm just going to cut it off because it's clean. It's been in the dishwasher, so it's fine. I'll probably cut it off. Just a clean cut. Still got the rest. Just that one. I'm going to put it into this pot. As you can see, it's got a wick. So I've got some leca. Now, you always need to use your leca wet. You need to soak it for 24 hours before you use it. Because if you use it dry, it'll take a long time to soak up any fluid. So it needs to be wet, and then it's what's the word? It's prepared to soak any water up. If you let it dry, So this is it. Just leca clay balls. You may have noticed I've got some little air holes around the outside, which I've put in with a soldering iron, melted them through, just to let a bit of air get to the roots. So I'm just going to put the leca in, a layer of leca. It's going to be hard with this plant being the roots on it. So I've just got a small layer, thin layer, and I might have to cut that other root, to be honest. It's not going to go in. It's too big, too many roots showing off. God's sake. No need for all these big roots, I ask you. I'm going to cut that a bit more because it's too big. Stupid. And that one there. That one's broken and that's done me a favour. Problem is with these wicking pots, they're not very deep. Might have to put it down a bit more. Which is what's great about leca. Because if it was in soil, my God, it'd be a nightmare, wouldn't it? Getting it all out again. Your hands would be filthy. I'm just going to put that in. And just try and move these balls around a bit. While it's shallow, so I can see what's happening. So that's the one in leca. So we've got the one in soil and the one in leca. So we'll pit them up against each other and see how it goes. And that is how you put a plant into leca and make a division. You'll see that this has got tape around it. The reason it's got tape around it is because obviously when it's got water nutrients in it, you'll get algae when the light hits the water and it'll look green and horrible. So this just blocks the light out. Doesn't block it out totally, but it does work to a certain extent. This one hasn't got any at all, and it's not that bad. I don't know why. It's not actually that bad. It doesn't look pleasant, but it's not green. So yeah, let's see how they go. And that's my 2-for-1 video, and I hope you've enjoyed it.